Hello, Maverick traders, and welcome out to your daily currency recap. This is Ankit here, and let's break down today's market price action. It's a Tuesday, June the 11th, and most importantly, talk about our upcoming 24 hours. We have a busy day ahead, and a lot of eyes are on the FOMC and the US inflation data. So let's get into it. Let's take a look at broader market analysis, take a look at what's really performing best and worst by looking at those currency baskets, and then take a look at some possible setups ahead. Let's get into it.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional stock and option traders. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional trader for Maverick, click the Apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
So as we jump to the market analysis, let's just jump right into the headlines and the numbers. And if you just take a look at the headlines, well, today's price action was a little bit more muted as we expect ahead of a big news event. So looking at our news of the day, markets again remain strong up ahead of the FOMC. So no real change as far as the market sentiment or market direction goes. But on the other hand, we have the US dollar and the bond yields kind of holding it steady. We had a big move on Friday after that U.S. employment report. So it's pretty much since then we have seen some consolidation happening in the dollar and the yields. And I think the next big move is really going to be tomorrow when we get the inflation data and most importantly, the FOMC. Now, if you take a look at the numbers, you can see the numbers are not as big. Again, less than 0.5% move. So this is not a big moving day. And again, I didn't anticipate to trade today because the real price action, real movement is going to be starting tomorrow going to Friday. So if you just take a look at relative strength of weakness, the only thing that really stands out this week is the euro weakness. We started off on the weakness on Sunday night, and pretty much the euro has been weak. So that's something to note for. But outside of that, the dollar holding steady. We had the CAD is holding steady. Aussie slightly positive. But again, take a look at the relative strength in Kiwi. So that really stands out because Kiwi had a big down day on Friday, but that's still recovering. So it's a good sign when a currency recover as fast. That's a good sign it wants to go higher. So in this session, we'll be taking a look at more of those setups here. And if you take a look at the broader markets, you can see S&P was slightly up. Crypto again was down the most, but outside of the crypto markets, really no big movement. Gold market not a whole lot. Oil market not a whole lot. And if you really look back on Friday when we had the jobs report, we had big movements across the board. Gold was up gold was down actually quite a bit on that. The dollar was up quite a bit on that. So again, that's really where you get those big movements on these news. Now, if you take a look at the crypto markets, what are you seeing there? You're seeing pretty much weakness across the board. So really, who knows what the crypto is going to do here? It hasn't really broken out, and it's just staying within that range. So I rather look at elsewhere, where I'm seeing a little bit more consistency. The crypto market seems to be a little bit more consistent here as we look at the price action. Now, if you take a look at our market outlook, again, it remains at a +3. Now, look at the chart. Well, remains at a +3. But remember, when we go into a news event, it's pretty much like rolling a dice. We can look at the odds. We can see where we can find the best move. But really, at the end of the day, based on the numbers and the statement, we'll see a big move one way or the other. So our job is to prepare for the best and worst case scenario. You can see that not a whole lot has happened so far this week. Again, we had the pound employment report, and that's pretty much it, right? The big focus is really the US data this week, starting tomorrow. So we have everything kind of jam-packed the same day. First, we have the US inflation data that comes by 8:30 a.m. Standard Time, and the second leg is going to be around the FOMC statement and the press conference. So tomorrow could be a volatile day. If you want to avoid the volatility, it's best to be in cash. If you want to be exposed to it, just realize that's the kind of a day you're dealing with. It could be, a big up day or it could be a big down day. That's just the nature of it. Now, let's just jump into our currency analysis and see what the velocity scores are telling us. And based on that, we can pick up our currency setups here. You can see that the velocity is not as strong. -1 to a +1. We usually want things to be a +2 to a +3. This is not a big moving day so far. And I think tomorrow, the lot of focus is going to go into the dollar. And by proxy, we'll take a look at the CAD. And really, in between, we could take a look at the best performer, which is the Kiwi, and even the pound are the two good, strong trending currencies. So let's just jump into possible setups here and let's take a look at it.
Do you want to be a professional trader? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop trading company that will pay you for trading with our capital. Trade our capital and keep 70 to 80% of the profits. We are looking for traders just like you that are hardworking and motivated. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to see if you have what it takes. That link takes you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position available, and you read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have at this point. After watching the video and reading the FAQs, if you're interested, fill out an application, then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video, and then schedule an interview with one of our traders. Are you our next trader?
And as we take a look at the dollar, let's just start with the dollar basket here. What do you see here? You see a giant range that's taking place. On a daily chart, you can see this is a clear level of resistance and this is a clear level of support. And the moving average is kind of going in between. So this is not really where you can get a lot of information from that moving average, but a break above this level and a break below this level is where you are going to see the big move and a follow through. So that's exactly what I'm looking for tomorrow. If the inflation number comes out hot, I wouldn't be surprised that it just takes a big candle and try to break out higher. And vice versa. If we get the FOMC a little bit on the W side, I wouldn't be surprised that it breaks its support. So in conclusion, I'm looking for a massive break on the upside or the downside to really get us going on the dollar. Otherwise, this is a range of my play here, and I'm not really loving the price action at this moment. Now, if you take a look at the bond yields, and I like to talk about the bond yields because that's where we see some tight correlation. And if you take a look at the bond yields and take a look at 10-year bond yield, let's take a look at that one. So what are you seeing in the 10-year bond yield? Kind of seeing something similar. You can see there was a big sort of a support here, did bounce here. It's just not really showing that sort of strength or weakness. But if this, look at the move that we had on Friday. That's a big candle. Pretty much really having no follow through since then. But again, this is another level to take a look at as far as the resistance goes. And this is where it goes as far as the support goes. So any of those trend traders, you want to see those trends, you want to see these levels break because that's where you really get that big move. Otherwise, we'd probably be range bound, moving back and forth. So let's just talk about the best and the worst case scenario. If the dollar, it comes out strong, what would you want to pair it with? I think the euro looks really weak here. Take a look at an interesting development here, where you're seeing back-to-back movement onto the downside, touching the support and also close around the support. So at this point, the euro looks weaker. So it really makes me jump right into the euro dollar for the best best dollar long, and that will be against the euro. You can see that we had the nice little upward trend going and we broke that trend. This is where I'll bring things down to maybe a shorter term time frame to look for a setup tomorrow. You can see that 4-hour chart is just making a little bear rally here. Not really ready to jump on anything here. But again, what I'm doing is making note of the support and resistance levels. And the break of those levels is where we want to look for initial entry. So euro dollar goes on the top of the list as a short. Take a look at the dollar Swiss franc. You can see the dollar Swiss franc. We got a big move on Friday, and this is a very tight high base. So same thing goes. I don't really love the Swiss franc here, but let's just take a look at the Swiss franc basket. And I found that interesting that it's really rolling over or making a little base setup here. If this starts to break lower, again, I want to get back into the Swiss franc short, but at this point, this is again pointing more to the upside and the downside. So keep an eye on Swiss franc tomorrow as well, if it does follow suit compared to what we saw in the euro. Now, on the other hand, the only best one that we really like here is the Kiwi long, and that brings me to the Kiwi dollar position as a long trade. If again comes out that the dollar is actually weakest, this is the one that I would like to go with. So here's the Kiwi dollar. You can see that big move happened on Friday. Pretty much trying to recover since then. So this is about a no trade here. This is a support at 61. The resistance is about 62. So that's about a 100 pip range. And it's sitting right in the middle at about 61.43. So at this point, I will be looking at it as a best case scenario, see if we can find a decent setup here, maybe on an hourly chart to a daily chart or a 4-hour chart if this continues to run higher or make some basis to go into. So outside of that, what do I think of Euro or the Aussie? Aussie is kind of going sideways, so don't love that one here. The British pound is still a good long, and again, this is making a high base. The direction is still on the long side. And then on the other hand, the yen remains weak, and that also goes on the top of the list as a dollar long trade is the dollar yen. Take a look at it. Beautiful high base forming here. And this is where you want to avoid trading that range, but take a look at a breakout one way or the other. I think that's where the big movement is going to be. So these are the setups that I'm really watching going to tomorrow. And in conclusion, all eyes will be on the US inflation data tomorrow and the FOMC. If you're looking to be reactive, that's where you want to be. If you want to avoid that risk, this is where you get to decide, do I want to cut down my risk or even take my positions all off the table? But tomorrow's going to be a volatile day. Everything's packed in one day, but we'll have a much better clarity after that where the dollar is going, especially if we break some key support and resistance levels. The euro looks the best short right now, and Kiwi again looks the best long. But our focus is going to be really pairing the best versus the worst. And with the dollar, we'll take a look at the euro dollar, take a look at the Kiwi dollar, and we also take a look at dollar yen as well. Thanks for joining here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good luck trading. Cheers.